And it works well, doesn't it? I mean, you have a good example here.
Well, it's a 5-4 one, it is, Dougie.
Sorry, 5-4.
Yeah, the three centre-backs. And you can just see our shape there. The only difference, look how all the players have got back. The midfield four are already tucked across, so you can see McFadden, his own up front. And as it runs on, we can just see that we're giving very little space away, but we're playing very deep. And that's one of the problems. We're actually decided that Japan are a danger. And there was Fletcher. He did that a lot in the first half, actually, just got the little challenge in. And we see it again here, just getting the tackle in, winning the ball in those areas. And we get away with it in that occasion too, and we get a little break forward.
I think God knows that is important. They play a lot of balls into that little hole there, don't they? Yes. Just behind the front two. That's where they want to play. They've got good quality players such as Ono and Endo that like to get the ball in there and use that space. But that's, of course, if there's space there. And most of the time Fletcher's sussing it and he's getting in there. On this occasion, I think that's Caldwell there. They've got in and they've nipped in and they've closed down. So the Japanese, really, they've not enjoyed this. They've hated the fact that there hasn't been space
there. Look at the number of players we've got back there, though. I mean, it's unbelievable. We've got
a lot of onus on these two in particular. And then that they've done a job. I think Gary Teal down that right-hand side is always a threat, Pat.
He is. I think he came on to a game against Bulgaria the other day, but he's looking stronger as he's come on. And he does, funnily enough, the way he gets the ball in, he's actually facing directly forwards. He's not angled himself, his body in towards the goal to look for a player. It doesn't worry about it, he just gets the ball in. Look, you don't think he's got the opportunity to get the ball in. This time he doesn't and plays it back. You know, that doesn't matter as long as he holds the ball up.
The good thing, he's got pace and strength for this level of football, Gary Teal. And obviously at a later stage in the game you might see Chris Buck coming on again as he did and came on very well in the game on Thursday. So Teal's done a good job, as I say. He's got the ability and pace and work rate in order to play at this level. Puts in a good ball there. The foul was given against McCullough. Most of our attacks, though, why we're showing this is that most of everything's been down the right side, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Naismith has got one ball in field, but look, he gets himself where he crosses the ball. I find that very strange. He's actually at the line.
In the FIFA ranking, they're a good side, even though they're missing today most of their Europe, or all of their European-based players, and they definitely carry a threat going forward.
Well, there was an example of the back five sort of stepping off, and the midfield we're closing down there, and that's when you start to get balls played into those little holes. That's when the midfield start to drop back as well. So I think it's the defensive lads actually who are playing maybe a little bit too deep. But that was a great strike there, I have to say that, from Kaji. What a fantastic effort that was on his left foot, and I think, you know, Alexander's performed very well over these two games, but he had no chance with that one if that was on target.
Yeah, what I was noticing at that point in the game is I think the Japanese had sussed that they weren't going to get through in the little holes, so they were shooting from further out. And I'm thinking, well, fair enough, you know, if you're a good enough goalkeeper, if it was Craig Gordon in there, you're thinking, fair enough. But, you know, players will get tired and then little bits of holes will open up and that becomes a danger. But see that defending there, and again, that shows a great attitude as well. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that back heel by Shinji Ono is fantastic.
Funny enough, I was actually saying oh no when he actually got the ball.
Look at this twinkle.
This is where they go. That's lovely skill. He should have scored, actually, to be honest. He should just have tucked that away, but that's when we're
100% fit. We saw that when he came off on Thursday. So James McFadden's playing the sort of lone striker role, which he's not really the ideal man for, I don't think.
Yeah,
is he?
Well, we see what James is very good at there. You know, he gets the ball, he's close to, we were chatting about this before, Dougie. He runs with the ball so close to his feet, he's almost impossible to tackle. He's got the willingness to get up there, but I don't think he's getting as much support, and he isn't getting into as many dangerous areas as Chris Boyd was. And it's painful to do it, but if it's a direct comparison between the two, now he gets into the right position here, which is very similar to the position he scored against Bulgaria, which was a fantastic touch. But I think it's a very tough one for him.
But I think he's more willing to do the individual thing, whereas Chris Boyd up front is more willing to combine with other players. Chris Boyd's more liable to hold it up and allow other players to come into the game, whereas James McFadden
move, in fact. And credit again to Chris Boyd. They say he's only a goal scorer, Gordon, but what a lovely little back heel here.
Absolutely, I think people should take note of this. This is tremendous vision, and I'll give Gavin Ray credit there. It's slightly behind him. It's not in front of him to go and hit. You can't really be that critical. You watch that, he's involved in the move as well. He makes a great run. Chris Boyd knows there, looks just behind it. You can't quite get a proper strike on.
Corporation, in fact, co-founded by a Scotsman from Fraserburgh more than 100 years ago. That's Mr. Cato, who's the president of the Kirin Corporation, presenting the trophy to David Weir. And well, there's a few quid for the boys for tonight as well. That's very nice. I believe they do get a couple of cases of the sponsor's product, and well, they've deserved it at the end of a long, hard season. So that's a nice way